Hello and thank you for joining me today. In this presentation, I will be focusing on two major topics, including depression and transcranial direct current stimulation. I will be discussing the physiological effects they both pose, as well as presenting recent literature and directions for future studies. Firstly, to discuss the physiological explanation of depression. Depression has been classified as a mental disorder with substantial symptoms such as disturbances in mood, cognition, physiological and social functioning. In 2012, Bondi discussed from reference to the DSM-5 that depressive symptoms are classified with a minimum of 5 symptoms, examples such as a loss of interest, loss of energy, feeling of worthlessness, no motivation, deep sadness. A full list of these symptoms are on the screen. With the classification of depression as a mental disorder, there is still insignificant research for understanding the causes and explanations of depression. 80% of Americans endorsed a chemical imbalance in the brain as a cause of depression, and 64% endorsed a genetic or inherited problem. In 2018, Zhang discussed possible impacts and causes of depression through brain imaging. He discussed the effects of the anterior cingulate cortex, known as the ACC, that has anatomical connection with the dorsal, neocortical, and ventral paralimbic regions and plays a role in cognitive processes and mood regulation. With little physiological evidence indicating as to how depressed individuals function different from other individuals, he explained that changes in the frontal and thalamic circulation may lead to cognitive and emotional changes, thereby increasing the vulnerability to suicidal behavior in patients with depression. Secondly, to discuss the physiological effects of TDCS. Transcranial direct current stimulation, known as TDCS, is both a popular brain stimulation. During stimulation, current flows of electrodes pass through the brain to complete a circuit. There is both a positive current known as anadole that temporarily felicitates behavior that is associated with the cortical region, though there is a negative current known as cathode that inhibits behavior as well. Furthermore, TDCS generates the neuroplasticity directly in the cortical under the electrode. This can induce effects in distant brain areas caused by activity modulation of interconnected areas. The electrodes are placed on one side of the scalp and the electronic currents penetrate the skull to enter the brain to felicitate neural activities below electrodes. The non-invasive method has indicated to be a valuable implement for establishing brain behavior and discovers relationships between cognitive, motor, and social fields. Anadole stimulation of the TDCS depolarizes the neurons that increases action potentials occurring. However, cathode stimulation hyperpolarizes the neurons, thus decreases the chance of action potentials occurring. This process is induced by the anadole stimulation occurring by the changes of the membrane potential. Studies have indicated that there are side effects from the stimulation, such as light itching beneath the electrodes, mild headache, burning sensation, and discomfort, as well as mood switching. Thirdly, to talk about the influence of the physiological mechanisms of depression. In 2018, it was proposed using currents for 30 minutes for stimulation, placing one in the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and the catheter over the right-hand side. The results indicated that 42 depressed patients noted an improvement in their depressive symptoms following the brain stimulation. Furthermore, Stagg and Michael in 2011 produced similar results, indicating that the same placement of currents, however, enduring 20 minutes over 5 sessions. All literature has stated that enduring currents over multiple spaced sessions has increased positive results in patients. Lee in 2019 stated that a well-known hypothesis of depression is hyperactivity in the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, leading to psychomotor and executive dysfunction. Researchers assume that TDCS anadole stimulation over the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex increases cortical activity that would then lead to improvement for discussion. Lastly, to talk about a limitation and future direction for studies. A limitation stated in the literature notes that participants' use of antidepressants can inhibit the side effects of TDCS and suggests to suspend antidepressants when participating. Furthermore, Lee in 2019 stated that multiple randomized studies have confirmed that antidepressant effect of TDCS among patients has had an equal but faster effects in common. Both these literature reviews state opposite views with taking antidepressants or not to ensure the best results. Further research needs to be conducted in order to confirm if taking antidepressants helps with the side effects or not. In 2018, Hafnen stated that TDCS is either an alone treatment used frequently throughout a week or either used as an add-on treatment for psychotropic medication or cognitive training programs. Additionally, 11 participants from Lee's experiment in 2019 listed that TDCS as their first choice of treatment for depression, explaining that the effects were faster and more natural than drugs with fewer adverse events. However, only 2 participants listed medication as their first choice as they believed medication was more convenient and fast. Lastly, amongst all of the literature, each experiment listed a limitation of a small sample size and open-label design, thus discussing larger controlled studies with optimized montages and sufficient periods of observations are warranted. The following sources used are displayed here now. And thank you for your time.